Hey, what is going on, you guys? Welcome to another episode of the Trainer Talk. Today, we put together a list of some of the top struggles that people deal with, keeping them from living their best life, their healthiest life. So, we just want to go through some of those top things that are keeping you from achieving your goals and hopefully help give you some strategies and tips on overcoming those struggles, which can be the hardest part about changing your life and achieving your goals. So, number one, in no particular order, number one is environment. A lot of people just don't have their environment set up for success, meaning they might have snacks laying around the house that are unhealthy, that are kind of calling their name when they see it. If they've got, donuts out or chips out or candy, readily available ice cream in the freezer, you're not going to be successful with your nutrition if you have direct access to those things. Also, people go and get fast food right on the way home from lunch because it's convenient for them. So that could be another part of your environment. Is another thing, like at work, for example, where my wife works, Katie, at the hospital, every single day at lunch, there's a bunch of snacks brought in for all the nurses, and she has to kind of exit herself from the room so that she doesn't indulge into that, but everybody else typically does. And it's just because that's part of the environment. And so what we want to try to do is help you guys set up your environment for success. And kind of the first tip is removing yourself from an environment like Katie does so that she's not tempted to have the donut or the chips or whatever it is. So we're going to talk a little bit about environment, and then we'll go on to the next one.
Yeah, I just want to list out a couple of tips that you guys can do to optimize your environment when it comes to nutrition, or if it comes to even sleep and working out. Your environment really does play into. It gives you a lot of different cues of what activities you want to do. So, for instance, your environment, if you have your workout clothes or workout equipment sitting out somewhere you can see it, and that, almost like cues the habit of working out. If you set out a pan the night before and you want to cook breakfast the next day, seeing that pan when you go and get your first cup of coffee in the morning, you see the pan and you're like, oh, I should cook breakfast instead of grabbing McDonald's on the way to work. And, allowing your environment to be a benefit rather than something holding you back is definitely one thing. One thing to note is having your alarm or your phone right by your bed is probably one of the biggest reasons people don't sleep very well, or they keep hitting the snooze button in the morning and then lead their whole day groggy. They don't have energy. They're not happy or in a good mood. So one big tip is to either remove the phone from the room or keep it in an area where you're not able to just pick it up in the middle of the night when you wake up, or wake it up first thing in the morning, scroll before going to bed, because it keeps you up later. And then by having your alarm clock, I keep mine across the room, so I have to get out of bed to go and turn it off. Then you're already up and moving. Whereas if you have it right next to your bed, you're able to hit the snooze 4 or 5 times before you actually get up and start your day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this actually just happened last night, so it's really funny. But I made these, they're like a healthier version of a cookie, but they're still not something that you want to eat 3 of them every single day. It's like a once-a-day treat that I allow myself. And anyways, last night, my husband Corey was looking for them, and he thought that I hid them on him. And so I had to explain to him, no, I put them out of sight, out of mind. I put them in the back of the pantry so that I'm not staring at them all day, because I explained to him, I'm human too. Just because I'm a personal trainer and know a lot about nutrition and try to fuel my body the best I can doesn't mean that I don't fall into temptations too. And I think people have that concept that we're perfect and that we never struggle with our eating, that we aren't tempted to eat, but we literally just set up our environment so that we're not tempted. So I put the cookies in the back of the pantry so that I am not looking at them every single time I go home for lunch and tempted to have one after lunch and after dinner.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
It's just a good example.
Yeah. And so just some tips, you can't really break the habit of grabbing a snack, but maybe you want to replace that with a better option. So, if your goal is to eat 80% healthy all the time and then maybe a little bit of snacking, 80% of the foods in your household should be healthy stuff. And the other 20%, like Caitlin said, she has one snack and she hit it so that she's not constantly snacking on it. So, replace the chips and the cookies and the candy with bananas and apples. or protein bars. Just replace it with some healthier options, set up that environment for success. Take a different route home so you're not driving right past Dairy Queen and McDonald's on your way home or whatever it could be. Just do your best to set that environment up. You can also habit stack, where first thing you do in the morning, if you have a cup of coffee, put a big glass of water and a banana there or something like that. So you're getting a healthy nutrition and you're getting some hydration first thing in the morning before you have your coffee. So those are just some quick tips. Next, we're going to work on unawareness. So this is kind of right with that snacking. A big part of it is you're just not aware of how often we're grabbing and having bites of snacks and stuff like that throughout the day. And I'll let these two give some examples on some of their clients that realized this just very recently after working with them for a little while. People may be doing a good job with eating better, and they don't know why they're not maybe getting the results as fast as they want to. And then all of a sudden we ask some questions and dig deeper, and they have a lot of unawareness of things that they're doing throughout the day. So I'll let Bethany start because she just had this experience with a client.
Yeah, so having clients start tracking, or if you start tracking, you're going to become more aware of your daily food habits. And if you make the promise to yourself that, hey, no matter what I eat, whether it's on plan, off plan, that 80-20 or not, whatever percentage of that, if I'm going to track it, then you at least know what you're eating and what amounts. And you have to become aware of, am I going to have one serving of these crackers, or is it 6 servings? Or, if you think that you're having this much peanut butter, but it's really 3 times the serving amount that you're actually tracking, you're becoming more aware of what you're actually putting in your body. And then you say, oh, this is the reason why, instead of it being a mystery. So being unaware of the different habits, like the snacking, that's a big thing. If you're not aware that when you come home and your first instinct is to reach for a snack, and if you don't have the realization that that might be something that's holding you back, if you're not accounting for that throughout your day, you're having your breakfast, lunch, your dinner is on track, and then your night snacking you just almost like forget about because it's more impulsive. And so there's a book called Thinking Fast and Slow, and that kind of ties in with, there's like the impulsive brain and then there's the rational brain. And you can think long term, but it's slow with the rational brain. And when you're in the impulsive state, it's a lot faster, and you don't even really think, you don't even consciously think. It's like when you have a reaction, someone cuts in front of you in traffic, it's impulse, you slam on the brakes, you don't even really think about it, you just kind of do it. And that's the same thing with getting home, grabbing your snack. You do it without even thinking about it. And by doing that, you have to somehow create that space, create that awareness of, okay, is this action going to get me closer to my goals or further away? So being able to set up your environment so that you have more space to become aware of the actions you're going to take is one thing that, keeping people from having their best life is just doing things without being aware of them.
Yeah, so I had kind of a similar thing happen with one of my clients that I just started working with, and just had her start tracking her calories and macros this week. And we realized that she was going way over on fats and then under on everything else, her protein and carbs and her overall calories. And it's not that she was even eating unhealthy, she just was eating some of the wrong things. Like, for example, she was eating like too many sausage links in the morning because that's what her son likes to eat. So she was having those as her protein, but having too many of them. And so she was going over on her fats throughout the entire day. So that was just a really good realization for her to be like, okay, now I understand maybe why the weight's not coming off as fast, because I'm not eating enough protein, I'm not eating enough carbs, and I'm overeating in my fats. And that was something that even I wouldn't have realized as her coach unless I had her start tracking. So it is kind of cool just to, even if you don't track forever, just to kind of see where you're at. And, I have clients too who start tracking and they're way under eating, which is also a problem. So it's just good to become aware of where you're at and where you need to be, and then you can kind of improve from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that leads us into the next one is, not being prepared. So the unawareness, you might be mindlessly grabbing snacks and stuff. But if you're prepared, it will kind of help you stay more aware. So the next topic we want to talk about is being prepared. So this could mean meal prep. This could mean laying out healthy snacks. This could mean putting the pan and getting your breakfast items ready the night before, putting your workout clothes in a gym bag and putting it right by the front door before you go out. Basically, you want to try to plan and structure your days the day before. That's what we try to preach to all of our clients. That's what we do ourselves. And it was kind of funny because I had a member of the Fit Camp this morning say that her husband is the type of person that at night thinks about a million things and can't sleep. And I wanted to be like, everybody thinks about things. Like, there's not a specific person that thinks about more things than somebody else. It's just he doesn't have any kind of plan, and he's stressing out about all the things he needs to do. And if you have a plan and you write out your day when you're going to do things, and you have timers and schedules, then you don't have to stress or think about it the night before, because you know exactly when you're going to wake up and when you're going to do X, Y, and Z. So it can actually not just help you get a lot better results, but it's going to keep you a lot happier, on track. You're going to get a lot more things done, so your productivity will go up, a lot less stress. And less stress equals better results and better sleep, and everything in your life just gets better. So my biggest tip, we have right here, journals. I've got my journal, my daily planner. I plan out my day hour by hour pretty much, and even breaks. Like, everybody needs time for themselves, their workout, a nap maybe, whether it's grocery shopping, meal prepping, making dinner. Like, plan and structure that out the next day. Caitlin said in her last talk that she will plan out all of her meals for the next day, and she'll have everything ready to go or prep it the day before. That way she doesn't have to worry about breakfast, lunch, and dinner and her snacks. She's just ready to rock. So that's my biggest tip, is just planning and structuring the night before your day.
Yeah, that's a big thing, is if people just don't have a plan, then they're left to their habits. They resort to whatever is easiest for them, whatever is the most convenient, whatever, impulse, that they have to go through fast food if they don't have it planned in already. So, meal prepping comes into that. Plan the week before what you're going to go and buy for groceries, what you're going to have for your meals. So that way you know what to get, how much to get. You have a list, so a plan going into the grocery store, so you're prepared, knowing, okay, I need to get these things. I don't need to buy anything else that's not on there. They have all these fancy, colorful packages that are trying to entice you, and they have the bakery section right by the fresh fruits. So they're trying to entice you to buy those sorts of things.
Just don't shop when you're hungry, and that'll solve that problem.
Too. So yeah, be prepared. Another thing you can enter in, if you use something like MyFitnessPal or some sort of a calorie tracker, you can enter in what you are going to eat the night before. So, enter it in for the next day. That way you already say, okay, this is my lunch, this is my breakfast. And then if something does change, that's fine, go in and change it. But you're already making that investment. You're already making that mental promise to yourself that, all right, this is what I'm going to do tomorrow. I'm going to stay on plan. You have your meals prepared out already. And it's a lot easier when you don't have to make those decisions on the spot. And if you can make them beforehand, you're much more likely to make the better decision when it comes time to actually have that meal.
Yeah, that actually reminds me, I just gave this piece of advice to one of my clients yesterday. She's doing a new transformation challenge that we just kind of came up with. And anyways, so for 9 weeks, we're trying to be pretty spot on, like with nutrition and exercise and everything. And one thing I was telling her yesterday, I said, I don't want you to feel like these next 9 weeks you can never like go out to dinner or something like that. So a tip that I gave her, which is under being prepared, I said, before you go out to dinner, like if it's on a Saturday, figure out Friday night, like where you're going to go to dinner, look at the menu and plan out what you're going to eat and put it in where she tracks on. She tracks on her Fitbit app and it transfers over. But wherever you track on, like track that first, and then you already know like what you have left to eat for calories for breakfast, lunch, and your snacks before you go out to dinner. So she doesn't feel like she has to starve herself Saturday before going out to dinner. And she also doesn't get to dinner Saturday and be like, well, crap, what can I eat with like these calories that I have left? And she doesn't have to stress about it. So that just kind of reminded me when he said, plan your day, plan what you're going to eat the day before. You can also still live your life and go out to dinner and just plan that before as well.
Yeah. And we're huge advocates on, as long as you're prepared and on track all week long, like she could just enjoy whatever she wants on Saturday if she really wanted to, because she was doing so well during the week. That one meal out of 21 meals that she's eating in a week is not going to disrupt her results. She could enjoy herself a little bit too. So that's another thing about being prepared during the week. So the more I think about this, the next two are actually huge. So limiting beliefs. So you started cleaning up your environment. You started becoming more aware of what you're doing. You start being prepared. But if you don't believe in yourself, and if you don't believe that you can make the changes, you never will. And a lot of people, unfortunately, that we work with, they have that mindset of they aren't good enough, they aren't smart enough, they're too overweight, they're too out of shape, they can't do this, they can't do that. And they're constantly telling themselves and reminding themselves anytime they're presented with a situation to where they could make a good choice or a bad choice. And it could be picking fast food, it could be eating that snack, it could be preparing food. They don't want to, they don't have time, they don't know what to make. Everybody's got all these excuses and these limiting beliefs, and it keeps them from achieving their best life. So we are very, very big on trying to change mindset. Start telling yourself that you can do this. Start leaving, motivational type quotes and things like that, to try to boost your confidence. And also a big thing we push with our clients is to celebrate wins. So if you do start practicing some of these, celebrate the fact that you were able to do it and make progress instead of focusing on the things that you can't do. If you focus on the things that you're not doing well or you can't do, you're going to be limiting yourself and you're not going to be able to succeed in the areas that you want to succeed in. So those are kind of my tips on that. I'll let these guys talk about what they want.
Yeah, as far as limiting beliefs, a big one that I think people have is that they lack willpower or they lack discipline, which we have talked about, willpower and discipline before. But through telling yourself that you lack willpower or discipline, you're less likely to actually use the stuff that you have, because instead of making the effort to, have the self-discipline to not have the pizza or snacks that your coworkers brought in, you automatically think, oh, well, I'm undisciplined, so I'm not going to be able to resist it, so I might as well just take it.
Yeah.
Which that's where it comes back to those limiting beliefs, is you have this belief about yourself and you just reinforced it. Yep. Whatever gets reinforced gets repeated. That's from Atomic Habits, a book highly recommend. You can also listen to it if you don't like to read. But whatever gets reinforced gets repeated. Whatever gets punished gets avoided. So by reinforcing that thought of I don't have willpower, and then you grab that snack, unhealthy food, wherever it is, you're still reinforcing that you don't have willpower. And instead what you can do to kind of flip that is you can think of a time where you did resist or you did have willpower, because instead of just saying, the affirmations, they're great, but honestly, if you don't have evidence to back it up, you're going to be like, well, you're going to call BS on yourself pretty much, because you have all these evidence of these negative instances of why you don't have willpower, but you also have to argue with that almost negative side of your brain and argue with it and say, well, when were the times that I did have willpower? What, proves that theory wrong? And almost become like your own scientist and kind of observe your own actions, observe your own thought patterns of, oh, I'm unfit, unhealthy because, I'm whatever it is, overweight, or I can't run a mile without having to stop and walk, whatever beliefs that you have that center around defining yourself as unfit, start to define it in a different way, or support the idea or belief that you are fit and that you are healthy, saying that, oh, I made a better choice for my lunch today. I prepared my meals rather than going out to eat, getting fast food, etc. And start to back up those beliefs with evidence. And then you can start making that thought pattern more natural, I guess, more habitual to go through that and saying that, oh, I am a person that have willpower because I've said no to the donut before. I can say no to it this time too. And then that reinforces it, and you almost unknowingly, you're not even aware that you made the choice, that these thought patterns and beliefs started to change over time.
Yeah, I think like a lot of times just people have this limiting belief that it's too hard to be healthy, and it's just too hard. Like that's what they say. Like it hurts. I don't enjoy it or whatever. But I've seen this on social media a lot. Like you get to pick your hard. Like life is going to be hard, no matter what you do. It's either going to be hard to work out and be healthy, or it's going to be hard to end up in the hospital with some sort of disease and not being able to run around with your grandchildren or whatever it is. Like you have to choose your hard. You literally get a choice. And yeah, working out is hard for the first little while, but then you get to a point where you enjoy it. So you just have to, have that mindset that you can do it and keep telling yourself that you can do it. And I think another reason people have limiting beliefs is because they compare themselves to somebody else. Like they compare themselves to us who have been working out for years without realizing like where that person that you're comparing yourself started at. Like you don't know their story. You don't know who they used to be. You don't know what they used to look like and how hard they had to work to get where they are today. And I think, when you start to compare yourself, you just think that you can't do it because you don't look like that person. But you're not going to look like that person unless you start believing in yourself and do it.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought up, like, it's going to be hard regardless. Mm-hmm. It's either you're going to be hard now or hard later, because 99% of people want to be in a comfortable state. They just want to be comfortable. They don't want to have to work out. They want to eat junk food and sit there and watch Netflix. It's so comfortable and satisfying in the moment without taking into consideration the effects long term. So people want that instant gratification and they want to be comfortable. But what you got to realize is it's going to be 10 times harder in the future. Whereas if you just think about a 1 hour workout 3 times a week, that's 4% of your, a 1 hour workout a day is 4% of your day. So a 1 hour workout 3 days a week, I think it's less than 2% of your time that you're going to be uncomfortable. Yeah. And think about the benefits of working out 3 times a week for an hour. Mm-hmm. So you're uncomfortable and it's hard for 3 hours in a week to work out, but the benefits long term are exponential. Mm-hmm. So what you need to think about more things long term. I just wish people would do this. Like they only think on a day-to-day basis or a week basis. And you need to start thinking a year, 5 years, 10-year basis, especially for parents. If you have kids, especially young kids, like you need to start thinking about where am I going to be when they're 18, when they're graduating, going to college? Where am I going to be when they're, getting married and having kids? Do I want to be in good health and be able to move around and play with them, things like that? So you need to start thinking about the future and start crushing those limiting beliefs that you have now, start getting uncomfortable and making some changes. So that's all on that. We'll get into the last one. Unrealistic expectations. This is another really big one. People do years of damage, could be their whole entire life, and they think they're going to change that in 30 days or 60 days or maybe even 6 months. I like to basically use this math. However many years it's been since you were happy with where you were and you were healthy and you felt good, it's going to take at least 25% of that time to get back to that point. If it took you 10 years to get out of shape, it's going to take you 2.5 years to get back in shape. So you can't expect to do it in 30 days. That is crazy. Like that's just, you need to start realizing that it's going to take some more time. And people think these diet plans and 30-day challenges are going to change their lives. It's just a marketing strategy to get you to do something because they know you're not going to commit for 2 years. That's why they offer a 30-day cleanse detox or a diet plan that loses 30 pounds in 30 days, whatever it may be. And people have these expectations of changing their life and changing their habits and achieving their goals in that amount of time. I'll let these guys add on to that.
Yeah. So one perspective I kind of want to present is having people come in with expectations of what they see on magazines, and they like to they will Photoshop, they will change the lighting, they will do whatever they can to make this transformation look insane and say, oh, Susie lost 30 pounds in 30 days with this new diet or with the drinking this celery juice concoction that is BS. But anyways, what you kind of have to look back on is almost think of your health as in terms of money or finances. If you've been doing these poor habits for years, going to fast food, not working out, and poor sleep habits, poor lifestyle habits, you've accumulated debt. It's like a health or a fitness debt. And the more you have those habits over time, the more that debt compounds. And so you get to this balance where you might be tens of thousands of dollars in physical debt. It's going to take time to get out of that. Just like, people are paying off student loans. They went to school for 4 years, and now for the next 30 years, they're paying off this loan. Or a house. It takes 30 years for them to pay off this house. Not that it's going to take you 30 years to undo that, but it's going to take time. It's going to take those little investments, those payments every month to reverse the health debt, and then end up with like a positive balance where you actually start to improve your health through the different habits that you're starting to build. And it does take time. And honestly, at first you might not see a ton of progress, but then it starts to compound in the other direction. So instead of it going flatline and then dropping all of a sudden, someone runs into a major medical health event, heart attack, a stroke, they get diagnosed with prediabetes. That's that drop off when they're like, oh no, all of my habits just compounded to this moment. It's going to take time for that momentum to build up. And then all of a sudden, after you put in that starting work, then it starts to compound in the other direction. And then you're able to get out of those bad habits, get out of that debt that you've put yourself in through years of bad habits and behaviors. Then you're able to improve your health long term that way.
Yeah, and going back to like seeing people on a magazine cover or people who are doing like the bodybuilding shows and stuff like that, like first of all, magazine covers are very photoshopped. Like they probably don't actually look like that, and if they do, they are starved and they are dehydrated and they are not going to stay like that forever. They're not going to live. Like it's not something that is a lifestyle. Like you cannot have abs 24/7 if you're a 40 or 50-year-old woman. Like it's just, or like super visible abs all the time. It comes down to, again, Photoshop, lighting, flexing. Like when you're relaxed, you look different. So you just have to realize that not everything you see is how it is in reality all of the time. Like, again, people are posed, they have the perfect lighting, and you can't compare. Like if you're 60, 70 years old, you cannot compare yourself to a 20-year-old. Like you're older, your body changes as you get older, and although you can be healthy, you're not going to look the same as a 20-year-old. So you just cannot compare yourself and have that unrealistic expectation.
Just focus on being the best you.
Yep.
You're in competition with yourself. You don't need to be in competition with anybody else. I mean, you can use people as motivation,
right,
but don't look at somebody and be like, I wish I was like that, or I want to be like that. Like, strive to maybe adopt the habits. Like, if you put in the same amount of work as this person, you can achieve amazing results. Yeah, but that's your own results. We talk about it in past videos where me and Bethany can do the exact same workout program and eat the exact same amount of food, and we'll have totally different results, or we'll look completely different. That's just how it is. But I want to circle back to Bethany talking about relating, wealth and health. I love that analogy. So I like to think of investing in your health like investing in retirement. So every single paycheck, most American families have a small portion of their money that is invested into a retirement account, a 401k, stock market, whatever it is. And that money builds over time and it compounds and compounds. That way you have a retirement when you reach the age and you're ready for that part of your life. So by taking the 168 hours in the week, I want you to invest 10% of them, 16 hours, into meal prepping, sleeping, preparing your foods, your environment, working out, all those habits, and that will compound over time And then once you get to retirement, you're not only ready for retirement wealth-wise, but you actually have your health too, and you're able to enjoy it. Like, why do people not think of it as the same thing? Health is wealth. You could talk to a million millionaires. If they were sitting there and they were given the choice of being a millionaire or having 100% health, they would choose health every single time. You know what I mean? Like, and you don't see very many millionaires that are completely like bad health in a wheelchair, can't do anything, because they understand at a very young age, most of the time, the importance of health as they're building wealth too. So if you're going to work your whole entire life, and try to set yourself up for this retirement or whatever it may be, make sure you're actually taking care of your body too. So my biggest tip is, whatever you're investing as far as your money goes, you need to be investing an equivalent amount of time into your health. So those are both going to compound over time. So I like that you brought that up. I love that. I could talk about that all day long. But anyways, well, I think that wraps up pretty much what we want to talk about. Just 5 struggles that people typically deal with that are keeping them from living their best life. So if you start trying to do these things, setting up your environment, becoming aware of what you're doing that is considered a bad habit or taking you away from your goal. Start becoming aware of that, and then start preparing for success and try to adopt more of the healthy and good habits. Start crushing your limiting beliefs and start developing a more positive mindset. Start setting some realistic goals, and start living your best life. Start trying to change your life. I will also add onto the money thing. Money's replenishable, time isn't. So we care a lot, as typical Americans, we care a lot about our money, and we invest it and we make it. We care a lot about it, but it's replenishable. If you spend it, you can just get more. The more time you waste being unhealthy, you can't get that back. So I did want to add that on, because every single day that you're doing these bad habits, you're not only taking years off the end of your life, but you also can't get that time back to reverse it. So you need to start making changes like right now if you want to start getting that growth instead of the decline that Bethany was talking about. So we'll end it there. Start doing these things. If you need help putting together a plan, Caitlin mentioned we're putting together some new transformation programs that we're very, very excited about. We're not going to launch it yet or give you any details yet, but it's going to change lives, and we're very, very excited about it. And until then, we can't help you come up with a nutrition strategy, workouts, anything that you need help with. So don't hesitate to reach out. Make sure you like and subscribe the video. That way you can see all of our future videos and our past videos. And until next time, stay healthy. See ya.